Welcome back to the deep dive. If you joined us last time, you probably left thinking about this idea that financial dependence, well, that it isn't just some magic number.
Right.
It's a system, a repeatable, measurable, almost an architecture for freedom.
An architecture, that's the perfect word for it. We established that you have to build FI, financial independence, before you build wealth.
The architecture comes first.
Exactly. And today we're jumping right into stage one of this golden path strategy from the sources.
So this is the foundation.
This is absolutely crucial. This is step one. It's about creating the identity, the conceptual foundation that makes every other financial action you take, budgeting, investing, whatever, actually sustainable. Because if the internal programming is off, the whole structure will just, it won't hold.
And we're going to focus on attention that I know so many people listening feel. You might have a great income. You might even have, high wealth on paper. But you are still completely dependent on your employer or your clients. The whole system is fragile. The minute you stop working, it all falls apart.
And that's the perception we have to dismantle. That dependency is created by a very specific way of thinking about money.
So this isn't about a spreadsheet.
No, not at all. This whole shift begins with a statement. Think of it as the new operating manual.
Okay. You told me there's an anchor quote for this section. One that we have to deliver verbatim because it basically changes everything.
It does. Here it is.
Yeah.
It's not money that determines whether you'll be free. It's how you think about money. You're not poor. You're simply thinking like an employee.
Wow. Okay. That's blunt.
It is blunt. But that quote, it really defines the entire mission of stage one. Freedom isn't about the size of your paycheck. It's determined by the role you give that money. Its purpose.
So let's unpack that, this high-earning employee thinking. Why would a great salary, which, most people see that as the goal, right? The ultimate sign of success. Why does that actually prevent freedom?
Because for almost everyone, the default setting is that salary equals security.
Sure, that makes sense.
It sounds comforting, right? I have a good job, I'm secure. But that belief creates a lifelong dependency. Your security is built on selling your time.
So if you have to show up, bill hours, manage a team, whatever it is.
Exactly. If security means you have to be personally available, then your security and your freedom are chained together, chained to your active labor.
That's the dependency trap. You've just traded one kind of anxiety for another.
And what's really fascinating and kind of counterintuitive is that a high income often makes this dependency even worse.
How so?
Lifestyle inflation. The higher the income, the greater the pressure becomes to maintain that lifestyle. You get a raise, and that employee mindset immediately sees it as a green light.
For a life upgrade.
A nicer car, a bigger house, more expensive holidays, yes.
So the high income, instead of solving the problem, is actually accelerating it. You're just running faster.
To stay in the same place. Precisely.
Yeah.
That immediate spending is a symptom of what the sources call a survivor mindset. It's scarcity thinking. Even with a huge salary, the money comes in, and the brain says, spend this now to relieve the pressure I was just under to earn it.
So the goal has to be to sever that link, the link between your personal time and your ability to pay your bills.
Oh, yes.
But the source materials are really clear on this. It says, this needs an identity shift before any tactics. So why can't I just, download a budgeting app right now and fix this?
Because if your internal programming is still wired to be a reactive consumer, a survivor, you will sabotage your own budget. It's inevitable.
You'll just say, I earned this. I deserve it.
I deserve this new purchase. And the whole system just collapses. Real financial independence demands a change in consciousness, not just a change in your bank balance.
Okay, let's make this concrete. The creator of this strategy, Tamir Khaham, the systems engineer, his big turning point was in his mid-40s. He realized the issue wasn't money. It was his operating identity.
Right. He shifted from being a survivor to a responsible capital manager.
Which we're framing today as the asset owner. Let's contrast those two. What's the real difference?
Oh, the difference is night and day. The survivor identity is reactive. They see money as a consumer product, something you trade for immediate goods or immediate relief from stress.
So a $20,000 bonus comes in.
And their brain immediately goes to, what debt can I clear? What new shiny thing can I buy to make myself feel better? They're always on the defensive, always reacting to bills and deadlines.
Okay, so what about the asset owner, the responsible capital manager?
They are proactive. Fundamentally proactive. They see money not as something to be consumed, but as raw material.
Capital.
Every dollar, every bonus is capital to be deployed, and deployed strategically to buy the only thing that actually matters. Your time. Your freedom.
Give me a real-world example.
Okay. Imagine you get a $10,000 tax refund.
Right.
The survivor sees a windfall, a vacation, a new TV. They consume the capital instantly.
And the asset owner?
The asset owner sees that $10,000 as one unit of financial independence that can be purchased. Maybe they use it to kill high-interest debt that's eating their future time. Or maybe they deploy it into an income-producing asset.
They turn it into a little passive employee that works for them?
Exactly. It's a huge shift. You go from being the CEO of consumption to the CEO of capital deployment.
I have to play devil's advocate here, though. For someone working 60 hours a week in a high-pressure job, where do you find the mental energy to suddenly become a responsible capital manager? Isn't that just, fancy words?
That's a really fair question. And this is where the creator's engineering background is so key. He realized that managing capital is structurally simpler than constantly managing scarcity.
Simpler? That's surprising.
It is, but think about the fundamental question you ask yourself. The survivor is always asking, how can I find the cash to pay this bill? It's a constant tactical scramble.
And the asset owner's question?
The asset owner asks a strategic question. How can I structure my life so I don't have to worry about this bill at all?
So the structural solution is easier in the long run than the constant panic.
It's the only sustainable path. So we're reinforcing this mandatory identity. You have to transition from working for money to owning systems that produce money. That is the core of FI in this framework, this identity shift. This is step one of stage one.
Okay. Before we get to the second conceptual step, which I assume is about what to do with this capital, we need to pause. We have to be really clear about what this discussion is and what it isn't. At this point, it's important to pause and clarify something essential. This episode is not about financial techniques and not about optimization or investing. I'm not a financial advisor, and this is not financial advice. What we are doing here is stopping the bleeding, creating control before growth. And it's important to say this clearly. Just because this approach worked for the creator of this strategy does not mean it will work for you. There are no guarantees. This is a thinking framework. Responsibility for decisions and outcomes always remains with the listener.
Thank you for that. It's so important. With that context set, we can move to step two of stage one, defining a measurable vision.
So it's not enough to just have the identity.
No. Being an asset owner is great, but if you don't know the coordinates of your destination, you're just sailing blind.
This feels like a step people skip. I mean, a lot of people listening probably think they're planning for the future, they're saving, they have these vague dreams of retirement. But the sources say they often don't make real progress. Why is that?
It's the lack of clarity. That's the core problem. They don't know where they really want to go, and more importantly, they don't know how much money is actually required to live that life without working.
Goals like, I want to retire rich, are useless.
Completely useless. They're fantasies. They don't have the engineering requirements you need to build a system around them.
So knowing what you need to survive this month, your burn rate, is totally different from knowing your metric for financial independence.
Totally different. One is a survival number, the other is a liberation number.
And in this framework, financial independence isn't just a number in a bank account.
No, it's a designed way of life. So the process has to start there. You have to define your personal life vision first. It is a structural requirement. You cannot budget for a life you haven't designed.
So talk about this life design process. How do you turn a fantasy into an engineering problem?
You get concrete. You define the non-negotiables. It's not just, I want to travel. It's, okay, I want to spend 6 months of the year in Southern Europe, fly business class twice a year, and maintain a home base in a specific city. You have to quantify it.
Because that forces you to look at real costs.
Real costs, tax implications, maintenance on the systems you'll need. It turns it from a dream into a project with specs.
And once that vision is defined, it gets translated into a number. The FI metric.
That's the target.
Yeah.
The asset owner identity is now put to work. You have to know the target before you can deploy capital effectively. If you don't know the required output of your systems, how on earth can you start building them?
Right. Without a measurable target, you can't optimize.
You can't. Every dollar you have needs a mission, a vector. The vision provides the target, and the identity provides the strategic direction. When you have both, you have this secure psychological foundation. And only then can you start talking about the technical steps.
It makes the sequence so clear. Identity comes before vision. And you have to secure both of those before you can even think about building resilience or growth.
First FI, then wealth. It's non-negotiable.
And you see the proof of this when people get it backward.
All the time. The sources mention lottery winners. They get sudden wealth, but they don't have the asset owner identity. They don't have a defined vision.
So they just revert to the survivor mindset.
They consume the capital, and they end up right back where they started, because the psychological anchor was never set. The cash was temporary because their consciousness never changed.
That distinction is everything. Which brings us to our final anchor quote. This really synthesizes this whole part of the discussion.
It does. You may know how much money you need to survive this month, but do you know how much money you need to stop working? What is your metric for financial independence?
That metric, that's what you have to define first. At the end of the day, the single biggest financial decision you'll ever make is choosing which identity to operate from.
Are you the reactive survivor, consuming everything for immediate relief?
Or are you the proactive, strategic asset owner who sees money as capital to be deployed for freedom? That choice, it determines everything. It determines if wealth is temporary or if it's built to last.
And this foundational work, this is the hardest part of the entire journey. Once you know who you are, the asset owner, and where you're going, the FI metric, the rest is just an engineering problem.
A systematic one. And that is exactly where we're going in the next deep dive. We're getting into the practical steps, the tactical actions to really solidify this new mindset.
Full financial transparency and building the conscious budget that acts as the asset owner's deployment strategy.
We've set the framework. We've defined the target.
Now we prepare for action.